5,
All right.
4, 3, 2,
Here we are.
1.
Mr. Cyo is with me. Hello, Mr. Cyo.
That's me. Hello.
So we're going to do something that we've actually done before, but I forgot to record my voice. So we're going to redo this video. Basically, we're going to talk about our thoughts on Shadowlands. But this time we're going to do it during a dungeon. So this could go awfully as we try and get our thoughts together while not dying to dungeony things. So, thoughts on Shadowlands. We're going to talk about covenants, we're going to talk about classes, we're going to talk about dungeons and raids. Mr. Cyo.
Yes.
I hope I don't die here. The covenants. Oh, I did die. The covenants. What are your thoughts so far, this far into an expansion?
Not a fan of them.
Not a fan.
Myself. They're not balanced, right?
True.
And I think we both agreed early on that it would have been better had Covenant strictly just been like a cosmetic thing, probably.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Just doesn't jive well with me. I've had to switch Covenants a couple times and play different characters. It's always just a massive pain.
So I haven't switched on any characters. What'd you think of the whole switching process?
It's not too bad if you start doing it at the end of a week, because you have to fill a bar in the zone, basically just do more quests or the dungeons for the zone.
Uh-huh.
And then the next week you have to do it again. So like if you want to switch, it's going to take you at least a week. If you start it like on Monday and you get the bar filled on Monday and then you fill the bar on Tuesday, you can be switched on Tuesday.
Okay.
But if you decide on Tuesday to switch, it's a little bit.
How long does it take to fill the bar?
It's not long. It's just kind of like the general, I think maybe 10% per war quest, something like that.
That's not so... It could be annoying to do it in one sitting.
Maybe 2 or 3 dungeons and it was good. So, it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
From that perspective.
So, I agree with just about everything that you said.
Mm-hmm.
Let me real quick. I will say that for most of the classes that I've played, God damn it. Most of the classes that I've played, it hasn't. I've been lucky enough to play classes that don't need different covenants. Like, I've made the druid this tier, and for everything but the tank spec, you want Night Fae, and that fits perfectly with the druid theme, and it's a really fun ability to use. But on other characters, say like, right now I'm on my Fire Mage alt, I'm Night Fae again, which is the way to go for fire, and I'm really happy with it. But if I wanted to go Frost, well then they like Venthyr. So I feel like I can't really... I know I can play Frost, but I feel like I can't. It's not about what I can do, it's about, you know, I know that I'm not going to be optimal, and that feels bad.
Right. As a shaman, I started out just wanting to play Elemental. Wasn't super happy with how Elemental was doing at the time, just with the gear. They scaled up a little better than I was expecting them to, thankfully. But the Necrolords are good for Elemental, and they're also good for Resto. But they are not good for Enhancement.
Beware.
And I wanted to try Enhancement, so I just went Kyrian, because they were kind of average for all 3. But it just didn't feel good. And again, like you said, I didn't feel like I was being optimal, because I really wanted to main Elemental and Resto.
Right.
I just kind of wanted to still play Enhancement on the side. So I just had to end up saying Necrolord.
Beware.
Okay, so you actually changed twice on that character, didn't you?
Yes, I went from Necrolord to Kyrian back to Necrolord.
Yeah, that does sound like it would suck.
Beware.
And it was not ideal.
That's as far as like the power gains go for. I will say that all of the extra stuff that isn't connected to player power, I actually really like. Like, the only one that I do it on is my mage, not my mage, my main, which is my druid, and I actually really enjoy working with my garden. I really enjoy I actually enjoy the mission table even. But I enjoy it because it's not mandatory. I enjoy it because if I don't feel like doing it for a while, I can just not do it. And I like that. I'm tanking. That's important. What are your thoughts on that? Have you done any of the extra stuff?
I did a little bit with the Curie, and I wasn't a huge fan of what they had. I messed around a lot with Necrolord. So I can't say for sure on me.
Okay. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say about the Covenants. You want to add anything else?
I'm not a big fan of.
That's fair.
It's just not a huge.
I think we can kill the boss.
So I'm good.
Okay. So, going back to classes now. We haven't gotten any major tuning passes yet. The next patch, 9.0.5, is supposed to be like the big tuning patch. That's going to be changing a lot of different things. So we haven't done that yet, but as far as the first season of Shadowlands, what are your thoughts on the classes?
There's definitely a meta for Mythic Plus.
Yes.
It's kind of. I mean, there's always gonna be that, but for the most part, it seems to be all right. I just feel like some of these strong ones are a little too strong.
I'd agree with that. Going with what you said with the meta, like you said, there's always going to be a meta, but I've never felt like the meta is as prevalent as it is right now. Like,
It's more important than it's ever been.
yeah, like in past expansions, I don't remember it being only a few classes that everybody wants. Like, everyone wants a fire mage, everyone wants a marksman hunter, everyone wants a monk or druid.
Right.
The tank, everyone wants a demon hunter, and that's basically it. Like, the demon hunter is just dominating the tank meta because the tanks are getting hammered.
Right.
It's just I feel like at every level, like you would think that it would only matter at like the highest levels, but I feel like even in low keys, like +8s, people are still looking for the meta, and
Yeah.
that is annoying. I'm
Like,
dead.
the meta makes sense if you're trying to push like a 20 or something silly, but anyone's capable of doing a 15.
Anyone's capable of it, but the people inviting to groups are still inviting meta.
Right.
And I'm guilty of it too. Like if I just got Keystone Master last week, so I've timed every 15. And if I'm making a group, I'm gonna take a Fire Mage over an Elemental Shaman.
Thank you for that, jerk.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that changes next patch, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere. Other than that, I think most classes feel really good.
Just wow. Well, you know, they generally usually feel pretty good. They're pretty good in that set.
Well, I say that because in the beginning of BFA, they didn't. Like, there's
Yeah,
such
it
a...
was a dumpster fire.
yeah, BFA was a dumpster fire. But like, I remember not enjoying how my characters felt in the beginning of BFA, and in the beginning of Shadowlands, feels good. Like I enjoy playing most of my characters. Are we? Oh, it's circle.
Right, there's not been really a class that I played that I hated.
Yeah, so that's good. All right. Anything else you want to talk about with classes?
That's pretty much it. I mean,
Okay.
it's really the meta's the dominant thing to it. This is the big detraction. But that's gonna happen, and it's more the player base's fault than it is WoW's fault, because the players are always gonna want the best of everything,
True.
and it's really hard to balance that to that extent that we want it.
Okay. So we're still kind of talking about classes a little bit. I want to talk about dungeons, because both of us started this expansion as monks,
True.
and both of us are not monks anymore.
Also true.
And that's not a problem with the class,
No,
because
monk is great.
I love my monk. I have a blast whenever I play my monk. It's a problem with the dungeons.
Right.
And I say specifically the dungeons, not the raid. It was fine in the raid. So there's in BFA they had a lot of dungeons that were good for melee. Like
Right.
melee was just the thing to be. There was very few ranged in Mythic Plus, and Blizzard intentionally wanted to incentivize people to be ranged, and they did that by mechanics. So in the dungeons, there's all kinds of melee unfriendly things. There's a ton of frontal cones. There's a ton of things to dodge in melee. Like a good example would be like the first hallway in Sanguine Depths. Like there's all these mist dancers and mines and just
Beware.
horribleness that melee have to deal with that range just don't.
Right. And then there's also fixes that are very melee unfriendly.
And then there's on top of that affixes, yes. So it's not only the dungeon mechanics, but it's the
Beware.
Mythic Plus affixes that make it even worse on top of that.
Now there are a few Mythic Plus fixes that are not really range friendly, like Quaking and Volcanic.
Yeah.
But they're not as bad, I don't feel like, as...
S-
I'm trying to remember what it was called. Was it Inspiring? No, it's not Inspiring.
Inspiring and storming. No, not
Storming, that's
inspiring.
the one.
Not inspiring. No, you're right. What was it called?
Storming.
Spiteful and storming.
Right.
I'm just gonna block this off. And see if I can. So yeah, like it's volcanic right now.
Right.
I don't care.
I'm rooted in 3 volcanoes. I care a little bit. But life is pain and life is misery. Pug
Yeah.
life.
But
That's just the way it goes.
as far as like right now, I'm ranged, and it's the ranged affix right now, and it's fine. You know, it's a minor annoyance. Like I just got hit by one. It's fine.
I mean, I got rooted in volcanoes and I died, so it's not fun.
It's not fine. Am I gonna live? Oh, okay, I live. And we can do the melee ones, but it's really annoying.
Yeah, it's not that it's unplayable, it's just not fun.
Yeah,
At least
like-
I didn't find it fun. Some people might find it fun, and I'm sure some people do. I
Yeah.
didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, when we're dodging all of the frontal cleaves and all the shit on the ground for melee, on top of running away from Spiteful and dodging all of the tornadoes, it's something I just don't want to deal with
Right.
constantly for a whole week. So we both decided that we were going to move away from melee and be ranged, and I'm so happy that we did.
We abandoned the way of the fist.
Yeah. Well,
I've danced around between Shaman and Shadow Priest.
Mm-hmm.
You've pretty much stayed on the boom camp, but you're just now starting to play Fire Mage a bit.
yeah.
Beware.
So, you know, it's things have changed for it. We're not quite what we were before. I'm a big cow now.
What do we got? No circle?
Yep.
Ooh. Oh, really? Did I just blink into the... Uh-oh. Okay, I made a big mistake. I blinked on top of the fox. I hope I get B-rest. There we go.
You're a little special sometimes.
I'm sorry.
Beware.
I'm a little distracted.
Yeah.
And this is not the fight to be distracted on. Hold on, let's do the fight and then we'll keep talking.
Beware.
Do I get hit by this? I don't. Making a sandwich.
Beware.
Dodgeball.
One of us is not like the others.
Oh, we decide on this. What do we got?
Circle.
Circle.
Beware.
Just gonna combust it.
Great job.
Beware.
So yeah, like, the volcanoes are here, but all I have to do is sidestep them and it's done.
Not nearly as annoying.
Beware.
Dodgeball.
One of us is not like the others.
Circle.
Beware.
I almost blinked on it again.
Of course. And maybe doing a video in the middle of Mythic Plus is not a good idea.
Beware.
I'm having fun.
Fun, but inefficiency. So bad.
It's not, you know, the greatest of gameplay, but it's fine. It's only a 13.
I mean, you're totally gonna get judged for blinking into the fox.
I'm totally gonna get judged, it's true. That's okay. I never said I was a good player.
Because you're not.
So, okay, going back to dungeons. We were talking about how
Right.
they're melee unfriendly. Getting away from that point, for the most part, I think they've been good. You know, once they switched to range.
They're a little too Mythic Plus oriented for me. Like, in Legion, you feel like Mythic Plus was kind of put on top of just the dungeon design, and in BFA they kind of went away from that, and I feel like they leaned a little too far in the other direction this time again.
I think I agree, but I don't mind, because so in the last few expansions there have been a few dungeons that I just hated to do.
Right.
In BFA it was Shrine of the Nope.
Storm.
Yeah, Shrine of the Storm.
Yeah.
And in Legion, it was, what was it?
Boss of the Wardens.
Vault of the Wardens. Just because of the second boss. The rest of the dungeon was fine. I just hated the second boss, and I just would avoid them all to hell. This time, I don't think I feel that way about any dungeons.
Sanguine Depths can go to hell.
It's been better because they nerfed a few of the mechanics. Ever since then, I don't mind it.
Can still go to hell.
It's still there's still certain fixes that I would avoid on certain weeks, but for the most part, I'm fine with them. I can get rid of that. And I feel good about that. I feel good that I can do all the dungeons without feeling awful. And so I'm gonna say I'm probably the most happy I've been with the majority of dungeons. Even though I think I probably had more fun in Legion. Just because I think generally they were easier. So you can just like really smash some keys. We're about to pull. Ooh.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure.
It's gonna block.
I feel like it was more efficient to do keys back then. And that kind of goes into the topic of also gearing and how awful it's been.
Oh yes, gearing. We haven't even talked about gearing yet.
Yeah.
Gear's been too sparse, and I think it's safe to say that Blizzard agrees because they are buffing all of their gear sources.
Right.
There's like a hard wall around 200 that unless you have a guild, you can't really get by. I'm like not paying attention to this at all. You can't really get by, and if you do have a guild even, so it's been kind of a meme with me and some of the guild where like people would complain that they wouldn't get a drop from Mythic Plus. And then I would say
35 anima power.
35 anima power, yes. But also like people would be like, "Oh no, I didn't get this drop." And I would be like, "Wait, you were expecting to get gear?"
Nah.
It's like that doesn't happen in Shadowlands.
No, gear doesn't exist here.
Gear
it's all
doesn't
in
exist.
the mortal realm.
Yeah, exactly. So I've kind of come to terms with it, and they're fixing it soon. But as far as this season goes, yeah, too little gear. Like there are days where I would spend like on a Sunday when I have like completely off. I'd spend like all day doing Mythic Plus and get 0 upgrades.
Well, since I think the longest streak I had that I kept track of was about 13 runs without getting anything.
Without getting anything, yeah.
And that feels bad.
Feels real bad. Where's the thing? Oh, there it is. It's like hiding underneath dead bodies.
Now,
2 items hurts. I think you should get more items depending on how many pluses you get.
I think that would be the most sensible decision.
Yeah, so if you crush it, you get more gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else you want to talk about dungeons?
Oh, I think that's about it.
That's about it? Alright.
I'm trying to miss a lot. Just trying to focus on that down.
Right. We're almost at the last boss.
We are almost the last boss.
Almost.
Factually correct.
So, last thing to talk about would be the raid. Because we just finished Castle Nathria. We finally killed the Nathrius.
On heroic.
On Heroic, because that's just what we are.
We're not mythic tryhards.
Yeah, we're not.
We're bad at the game, as you've seen from watching this.
Yes, exactly. I do want to say, like, the reason, like, I've contemplated trying to get into Mythic raiding before, but the big difference that stops me from doing so, or even attempting it, is really just a level of organization on a wide scale that we just don't have to worry about. So
Right.
for example, our guild is super casual, to the point where we have people show up to raid, and halfway through the raid they're just like, okay, I have to go now. And because we're heroic, we can be like, okay, and we just continue on.
Right.
You know? And then we have we have people who are like, okay, I have to, something just came up. I have to, I'll be right back in an hour. And we say, okay. And we continue on. And it's that kind of atmosphere that... bring it way away from my rune of power. That kind of atmosphere that I like to have, because sometimes you or me have to do that.
Right. I have to do it a lot lately, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just, you know, life gets in the way, and that's just the way it is. And I think that is really nice to have. So that's why we're heroic only. I'm not really interested in getting into mythic at this time. So that being said, we just killed heroic Sire Denathrius. It took us longer than I think it should have.
It's about like 3 or 4 weeks of just trying.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of raid time because we raid 2 nights a week for about 3 hours,
Right.
and that's it. Am I gonna die?
I died.
You died?
I died before the trial even came out.
Oh shit. Okay. And we basically never raid extra time. Like that is it.
6:30 to 9:30.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah, we
That's
haven't had any extra raid time in, I don't know, years since Legion.
Right.
It just doesn't happen. So we have that allotted time, and that is it.
Right.
But enough talking about that. Let's talk about the actual raid. What are your thoughts on the raid?
It's okay for a starter raid. It's not my favorite, but it was okay. Bit of a wall with the Nather.
Bit of a, yeah, a bit of a wall with the Nathrius.
Yeah.
Beware.
I would say in the last few expansions, it's been my favorite first. I don't have an interrupt. My favorite first raid of the expansion.
Beware.
I think I liked it more in Old Year. I liked it more than Emerald Nightmare. That's probably fair. But I wasn't a huge fan of it overall. It was just okay.
Beware.
Yeah, it wasn't fantastic, but I think I liked it for the most part. I wish they would do. I wish they would do different things. Uh-oh. Okay. I wish they would do different things for tanks.
Yeah, the tanking has got kind of scale for the past few years.
It's like most of what they do for tanks is you just need a tank swap. You know, and maybe move them here or there. But as a DPS, I enjoyed it. As a ranged DPS, I enjoyed it. When I played the monk, I enjoyed it. Yeah. My favorite boss,
Beware.
I would say, it's probably gonna be Sledgefist.
Yeah, I like the Sludgefist fight.
I like the Sledgefist because I don't know. There's something about a hard DPS check that I respect. Can I have that stuff?
Yes.
Just I don't know if I am gonna use it, but I'm pretty sure you're not gonna use it, and I might use it for PvP. Anyway, for Sledgefist, we were stuck on it for a couple nights, and the repetition of it. Thank you, sir. The repetition of it really let me kind of try hard the DPS, because I feel like most of the other bosses, we weren't stuck long enough for me to like maximize my performance. Do you know what I mean?
Right. There's not enough, like, I don't want to say like patchwork style fights, because there is a few of those in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But the fight, like Sludgefist was the first fight you get to that's really like, you have to have the DPS for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the first fight where you really get to try hard, it feels like.
Yeah.
It's the other fights, like Shriekwing, general first wing boss, he's easy, pretty straightforward. You kind of get a pug going and kill him. He's got that kind of file.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think AoE ad fights are ever really well done in raids, so I don't like the Kel'Thas fight.
I think it's super hard to balance AoE fights.
Yeah, they're never, I don't know, they never work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Huntsman's okay. The Artificer fight it's different. It was an interesting mechanics to it. Hungering Destroyer, you hate it if you're a healer.
Oof.
It's,
So
it's pretty awful as a healer.
Hungering Destroyer is my least favorite fight in the entire raid, and that's as a DPS.
Yeah, Denathrius is my least favorite.
I'm gonna get to Denathrius. I want to talk about Denathrius specifically, but
He's his own special topic.
he's his own topic.
Okay, not counting Denathrius and Hunger and Destroyers. Probably right behind Kel'Thas for me, because I don't play classes that can AoE very well.
I mean, I mained a Boomkin, so he's pretty good on that fight. Hungering Destroyer, I hated Hungering Destroyer. It's my least favorite one to do. Every time we do it on the Reclear, I'm just like, ugh. Because as a Boomkin, I feel like whenever I want to do something, he makes me stop.
Right.
You know, like you're constantly moving in and out. Whenever I want to just sit and cast, he's like, nope, you're gonna go to the edge of the room now. It's like, oh, okay. It's just annoying. It's not a hard fight. I just hate doing it. Denathrius. So Denathrius is like 3 separate encounters because the way that his phases work. Each phase has its own kind of enrage timer. And it doesn't matter how well you do in the phase before it. So, in the first phase, I had to basically not DPS. Our DPS was high enough to where if I went balls to the walls, we would phase him too fast for everyone to get their stacks off. And you had to get your stacks off or else you die. So I spent the entire first phase getting enough astral power to use Starfall on the ads when they spawn, and then just either healing or hanging out. I literally just kind of skipped that phase. You know, I was popping Heart of the Wild and healing just for something to do, not that we needed it. And we still, you know, had to call for people to hard stop DPS on the final pizza pie thing. And the fact that that's the first phase and we have to do that every single attempt made it really not fun. After that, I think it was okay. Once you get past the horribleness of those phase 1, I actually really enjoyed the rest of the fight.
Yeah, with time I might become more fond of the fight, but phase 1 is just so abysmal.
Yeah.
And we have to do it so many times because we are really bad at the game that it got pretty tedious and annoying. So the fight itself just really soured on me.
Yeah.
Because just because of that, you take that phase out, the rest of it's fun. But it's just, it's awful.
Honestly, if there was a way to get ahead, like if he phased based on like, I don't know, time or something rather than percentage, like if I could keep DPSing, if I could maximize my DPS on phase 1, I would have loved it, you know? But I basically couldn't play the game for phase 1. So that's why I didn't like it. Phase 2 is fine. I feel like we wiped way too often like we had a few nights with 0 progress. Where we just weren't phasing him fast enough through phase 2 and we would just instantly die in phase 3. Like I think we had like 3 nights where like maybe we cleaned up phase 2 a little bit, but we still instantly died at phase 3. And that's just because a DPS issue that we had that we then fixed where it wasn't even a problem. And then phase 3, I actually really like phase 3. I think phase 3 is cutting off a third of the platform at a time so you have less space. I like that mechanic because it really gives you a sense of urgency and
hurry the hell up.
Yeah, and it feels different from phase 1 because you're close to winning, you know? Like in phase 1 you complete it, but then you have 2 more phases to do. In phase 3 you complete it and you win. So it feels more.
And I mean, in phase 1, if he covers the whole room, you're not going to do the fight anyways at that point because you're so far behind, you shouldn't even be there.
Right. Yeah, and you'll see, like, if people looked on my Twitch channel, at least before it gets deleted, there's the video of our kill of it. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited when we finally get the kill. Because, like, we were so far ahead, and I was like, we're going to kill it, we're going to kill it. And then we mess up on the final pizza pie. And most of the raid is dead, except for, like, you and one tank and a few DPS and one healer. And you just have, like, 3% left on the boss. And I'm like, oh, fuck, oh, fuck. It was... That's what I like... That's what I like my final boss raiding experience to be, because it was just exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hate the first phase. Other than that, I think it was fine.
Yeah. The Nathers fight was definitely, after the first phase, it's better and enjoyable, and it felt good to kill him, which is what you really want in a final boss. You do want a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I do think as a whole, though, the raid just has a power scaling issue, and that also kind of stems from the gearing issue we talked about in Mythic Plus.
True.
Especially at the start. They've increased it a little bit, which I think has helped a lot in the
Mhm.
raid, but gearing really was slow for a lot of people, so it's like, it wasn't that the early fights were even hard, it's just nobody had the gear. And then you get to the later fights, and it's like, okay, all of a sudden Sludge Fist is a big DPS check. Generals is a little bit more of a mechanic check, but it's kind of pretty much a step down from Sludge Fist. And then Denathris is a big check.
Yeah. No, I agree with
Everything
that.
else before it is kind of, it doesn't matter. So, like, the scaling of the raid doesn't feel appropriate.
I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, DPS didn't really matter. Didn't feel like it mattered that much. Just like you said, except for Sludge Fist and Denathrius. And Sludge Fist was a big up in the DPS requirement compared to all the other bosses. Like, you can squeak by with abysmal DPS, and then Sludge Fist happens, and you're like, oh, oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's wrap this up. Season 1 of Shadowlands is basically over. We're about to get a big tuning patch, and everyone's talking about, like, the next content patch after BlizzCon. What are your feelings on Shadowlands 9.0? Final thoughts.
I'm kind of on the middle of it. Depending on what day you ask me, I might teeter more towards the not as thrilled with it as I'd hoped I'd have been. Better than the start of BFA.
Definitely.
I'm pretty sure I like the start of Legion more. I like the aspect of the artifact weapons and building them up more than I do the Covenant system right now.
Agreed.
In terms of, like, beginning expansions and where I'd put them, it's in the middle firmly for me. Kind of maybe on the lower side of the middle. It's been all right. I mean, it's Warcraft at its heart, so it's still kind of there. It's not going to be, like, truly, completely awful, unplayable ever. But I've had more time enjoying other games and other things than I have been playing this here lately. And it could just be a sign of playing the game for too long for me. You know, going on, what, 12 years? 13 years of playing?
It's been a long time.
So, yeah. I mean, it's just been alright. It could be better. It could be worse. I look forward to seeing what changes in the patch and see if it improves anything. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would rate it higher than you. I've had a whole lot of fun. I've been really enjoying Mythic Plus lately. That's been good. Although I only enjoy it when I play it with friends. Pugging is rough. Although this one was kind of fun. I would say one of the things that I like the most about Shadowlands as opposed to other expansions is, let me get to the world map. I think all the zones are beautiful in their own way, and there's a whole lot of things to do in them, and there's a whole lot of things to do with your Covenant, and there's a whole lot of things to do, like, all over the place, but I don't have to. I love that I can just ignore them all.
Right.
Some people like it, I don't. But I absolutely adore the fact that I can basically just ignore the Maw and be just fine. That feels good. And there's been some days, like when no one's around, where it's like, you know what, I'm going to go mess around the Maw. And I've had fun doing it. But I know that if I had to do it, I would hate it. And that's kind of the way I feel about a lot of the Covenant stuff. That's the way I feel about a lot of the Zone stuff. I've gotten to the point of the expansion where I look at callings, which are basically, just the daily world quest stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna skip it today. And I feel great that I don't feel like my character is weaker because of that. And that helps a lot for me. I can basically do what I want, and that makes it a good experience for me.
Yeah. I don't think I've stepped foot into the mall outside of going to Torghast in probably 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And Torghast is its own thing we've talked about before. Not a fan of it either. That kind of also is just, it's more tedious work than anything else at this point. It could be better. I would hope they make it better. But we've talked about it before, so I don't need to go too far into detail with it.
Yeah, I put out a video on that earlier. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for talking with me, Sio.
Yeah, sorry for lack of conversation and lack of more increased time of thinking while trying to do a dungeon. I exploded volcanoes.
I thought we did really good considering we were so distracted.
I mean, I only bloodlusted early on the first boss like an idiot and died to like 3 volcanoes, so it was okay.
I mean, we one-phased the first boss anyway,
Yeah,
so it's all good.
got the timer right. That's all that matters.
It's all that matters. All right, thank you so much.
Yep.